Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Rob Chafe, Mad Countification.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Nuts Podcast. We're thrilled that you're listening to our show. Oh, and what a show it is, everybody. So I kind of, tipped it off that we're going to do a new episode format, and the first one is here. And I'm really excited about this.
Oh, yes, he's excited.
I am.
And he just can't hide it.
I can't. So, I'm trying to remember what episode we started the Four on the Floor.
Episode -7.
It was very early on. And we've been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
And it is a listener favorite. It's one of our favorites. We always learn something new. It's always exciting to, talk about things and get introduced to new and unique pedals.
But what's different about this episode?
Well, I'm getting to that, Tanya. So, in the shower, where I get most of my good ideas, I says, Self. Wait a minute. And I've been trying to think of how to capitalize on the Four on the Floor for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I says, Self, I have an idea. What if we do an entire episode based on a curated Four on the Floor?
Curated.
Based on a theme. Aha. And what might that theme sound like? Well, I came up with at least 35 different themes, and I know I can come up with more. So we are kicking this off with...
What?
Mini compressors.
Mini.
So this is the official number 1 Four on the Floor Shootout. Thanks, Rob.
Shootout. Yep. Bow.
Mini compressors.
Settle down with that.
Mini
compressors.
compressors.
Our Apple rating.
Mini compressors. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
And you might say, well, what are some other ones we might do? Oh, we're gonna any pedal.
Don't give away any ideas.
Well, no, I gotta give them. I gotta tempt the people.
This isn't like
This is
brain surgery.
Yeah.
This is brain surgery for Todd.
Might there be a delay one? Maybe
There's going to be a
eventually?
delay. I mean, look. Do you want me to list them off?
No.
Okay. There's a lot. Any group of pedals you can think of, we're going to try to cover it because we intend to stay doing this for quite some time. Sorry, Tony, you can't take a vacation.
Oh my God, I can never leave.
I only signed up for one of these. I didn't sign a contract for all of them.
You're smart.
Yeah. Well, I think this one is a great one to start because I love the idea of the mini stuff, and we recently had Copper Sound pedals.
Yep.
Who have a mini pedal.
Yep.
Compressor. And then we also had EHX.
Oh, yes.
We talked about their Pico line.
Pico.
And I said,
is that smaller than mini?
Yes.
Yes. Well, it's based on the component thing.
Yeah.
Is a picofarad smaller than a nanofarad?
They got the Pico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then yes.
So.
Wow. So,
micro.
Yeah.
So we got micros and we also got a Pico in here.
There's a Pico.
Yeah. Briefly,
although it is the same size as
they are the same
micros.
Size. Enough, you bozos.
They're not accurate advertising here.
So I'm going to get on and tell everybody what this is.
What is
this? You guys
this?
are having like a little side.
Well, should we talk
there.
about what compressors do? Well, actually, before we do,
Okay. Hang on.
Okay.
In front of us, we have the Copper Sound Iris. We've got the Keeley Compressor Mini.
Mm-hmm.
We have the JHS Whitey Tidy, and we have the EHX Platform.
Mm-hmm.
Pico. It's important because as I found out, the full size one is different.
It is.
So,
and attached to that, we'll get into all the rest later. But those are the pedals that we're covering on this episode.
Hey, Todd.
Yes.
What's a compressor?
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you asked me that because we have Rob here. And Rob's like, we've done a couple compressor things. We're not going to go deep dive into compressor. But let's just kind of float over the top. Generally speaking, if you were to say to someone in an elevator, Rob, what is a compressor? And you said what?
it squishes the output.
It squishes the output and provides
makes you
sustain.
sound better.
It raises the lows. It squishes the highs.
Well, you said you wanted the elevator.
Well,
version.
I don't know what floor you're.
I'm only going like one floor, and I don't want to talk to somebody about the.
Fair play.
But before we do that,
yes.
Should we talk about what's going on in our music world this week?
We should. Let's just. Yeah. We're going to get to that. And just be patient, everybody. This is it's like we're doing this for the first time.
It's like jazz.
As part of this new format, we're going to do the whole thing backwards.
Bass solo.
Drum solo.
Run for the door. Okay. We're going to get into the compression. I'm just super excited. I've been waiting for this for a long time.
I noticed.
I'm really geared up. And I have to say, we were looking at having John Fintel here.
Yes.
Who runs the recording studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what a qualified character to talk about compression, both as a player and as a recording engineer. Unfortunately, John's uncle passed away this morning, and he could not be here. So, but I have some of his notes that we'll share. Yes. I don't know how coherent he was late at night when he did this, but we'll get through it.
Is this like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom? We have to go through the book.
This will be awesome. We'll be reading his notes, and he'll be like, ratio is, don't forget to buy diapers.
Yeah.
Yeah. It very well might be.
Stream of consciousness.
So anyways, let's talk about what's going on in our music world this week, just to get us started. Oh, wait.
What?
That's it. That's all we're doing. So, Tony.
Yes?
What's going on in our music world? I'm really excited.
This new format, I'm not so sure about this.
It'll smooth out
this
over.
is pretty schizophrenic right
By
now.
4 on the floor shootout, number 25, everything will be smooth sailing. Okay.
All right. So this week, I've been getting a couple of my 12 strings together and tuned up a little bit. Because Friday, I'm going up to Toledo to do the Reverend Guitars video podcast.
Yeah, right on.
And we're going to chit-chat. Kenny was a recent guest here on our podcast.
Oh, you call him Kenny?
Yeah, I call him Kenny.
Not many people, I'm sure, call him Kenny.
I've always.
You think so?
I think I've always called him
He's a big
Kenny.
fella.
Yeah, but
Selective
we
about
call Jared.
Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Stream of consciousness.
Yes.
So anyhow, in addition to talking about Pick Guardian, what I do, the Guitar Knobs podcast, I said, hey, why don't I bring a couple of 12 strings up? Because Reverend has a electric 12 called the Airwave. And I said, why don't we do kind of just a little show on talking about electric 12 strings?
That's cool.
So he said, I love it.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to do on Friday. And then I think we might take a side trip up to Detroit just to visit the area up there. And I haven't been to Detroit in years.
All right.
So, but that's kind of what I've been doing. And, if anyone out there owns 12-string electric or acoustic guitars, changing strings is a treat, especially on a Rickenbacker. And so that's kind of what I've been doing, just making sure everything works well and doesn't snap in the middle of this little show that we're going to do.
Rough.
Yeah, it would have been. It's life.
What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it?
All right. Well, that's lovely. How about you, Rob? By the way, I did tell everybody that you had 50 amps that you were working on.
Oh, I forgot to text you. We missed a couple. Later that evening, I was like, oh, wait a minute. Here's a couple more behind this thing. It was 53 was the final count.
Whoa.
At that moment. But more stuff has come in.
Holy moly.
Oh, it's insane.
You're busy.
It's yeah.
I can help you on the weekend if you want.
Yeah, do what?
Count the amps, apparently. And even then, it's not guaranteed you'll have the right number.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I can solder for you.
Solder.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
So, Music Week. A few weeks ago, I bought another guitar.
What'd you get?
Tom Anderson. What else?
Tom Anderson.
Yeah.
Doesn't that get boring?
No.
You buy the same guitar over and over again, just a different color.
No, they're different specs.
They are?
So what is this one?
Okay.
It's a Crowdster model, which is their kind of answer for a Gibson SST. It's a solid body that's been chambered.
Right.
And it's only, I don't know.
Or as they would say in France, chambered.
Or that. And it's and the original Crowdster was just acoustic, no electronics. And then the later one, the guy who kind of initiated this, David Crowder, I believe his name is. He's big in the praise worship world.
Oh, okay.
And that's what he was using it for. And he said, well, can we put an electric pickup in here too so I can switch between the two so I don't have to switch guitars? And they said, yeah, we can do that. So they make a acoustic one, then they make them with 2 pickups, 2 humbuckers in it as well. So I got the one that's just straight acoustic. Yep. Todd's pointing at a picture of one.
Is that what it looks like?
Mine is a Tiger Eye, which is like a brownish yellow with a quilt top.
Wow. That's quite a quilt top. That's a lot of quilting.
Has a lot of quilting.
Well, we can route that and drop in some real pickups in there.
Yeah, I know we could, but no, I just wanted it for acoustic performances. And I had one way back when they first came out about 20 years ago.
Do you do a lot of acoustic performances?
I off and on. It depends.
Okay.
Like I'll start doing a duo, and then I'm doing it, a few times a month, and then I don't do anything for a couple of years. So,
but now you're prepped.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get back into it a little bit.
Huh?
So, and they don't sound.
Holy moly.
Yeah, there's some really good looking ones.
No, that's not what I was holy molying.
Oh, the price?
The price?
Yeah, that's a new one too.
What?
Yeah, Quilt Top Anderson, yeah. 5,300.
Well, you do have 53 amps to repair.
There
so
we
I
go.
guess
So that's
you can,
nothing, yeah.
Yeah, and those are easily $100
Jeez
repairs.
Louise.
Yeah,
So that's your even.
$100 minimum bench fee.
Yeah.
Let's get that right. So
that's a
if
lot
I don't
of-
do anything other than just look at it, it's $100 each. But yeah, so the downside though, so I got this used. I wanted an
me
older
$150.
one. Yeah, well, they changed the headstock on them a few years ago, so they're now 3 per side. And I love most things Anderson does, but the new headstock is just ugly. So I wanted an older one that had a 6-in-line headstock.
Right.
So I found one and yada, 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 got it. And it came in and it had like 3 or 4 big, not nicks, but dents in the back of the neck, right in the first position. Right. Right. And normally I'm not real picky because it's going to get played. These were big, like, kind of like if you just hit it on the edge of a table, like 3 times.
Oh, man.
So,
And
then
every time you touch that, you're going to be thinking about it.
oh yeah, well, and it was
Even a
uncomfortable.
little tiny one can
These were
start to throw you off.
big. I mean, they were large. And then there was this weird wear on the edge of the neck where it meets the body, like higher than the 22nd fret, like all this wear, like a little beaver had been chewing away at. Yeah. I mean, it's really weird. But then the rest of the guitar was in overall good condition. And I'm like, what the hell? So I took this over to Dave Bush, local, guitar.
Did you
luthier.
know that these things were a problem?
No, he did not disclose these. And that's where this goes.
All right.
So I take it over to Dave, go, what can we do about this? And he said, well, things on the back of the neck. He was like, they're big. He was like, but I can steam those out. I'll be able to steam those out almost all the way, be able to fill the rest with a matching finish.
Epoxy.
Those will go away. He said, the stuff at the end of the neck, no. And I said, well, how do you do that? How did this guy even do this? He was like, I've seen this in a few guitars over the years. Guy hits the string so hard, it's the strings being bent and digging in, and or a combination of him picking.
Going over the...
And this is what Dave said. He said, and or it's from the pick. So it's like he's hitting it so hard in that area.
Wow.
That he's wearing. And if I show this to you, it'll be like, that must be what happened. Because it's either that or I don't know, it took a little chisel to it every once in a while. I don't know. So I went back to the guy, and the guy was kind of not cool to begin with. I'm like, hey, you didn't disclose these. Oh, and it showed up with electric 9-gauge strings on it. It's supposed to be acoustic with bronze.
Like 12s.
So yeah, I forgot the most important part. So they completely roached the nut, setting up for 9-gauge electrics.
Oh,
so I could
boy.
never put acoustic strings back on it with this nut. The
So
strings were laying on the first fret.
Oh, boy.
So I said, gotta do the nut, gotta do something about these, what compensation I can get this taken care of. And he was offered like, I don't know, something like $150.
Oh, God.
Exactly. I was like, no.
That's just the nut fixing that.
Exactly. And I was like, no, there's no way. And I said, so, okay, I'll send it back. And I said, now you understand you're going to be responsible for freight both ways. Uh-huh. I'm like, so you're going to eat $150 or $200 in freight both ways. Why not just stand up and, So finally he came around. He's like, all right, I'll do a $300 credit. I was like, close enough. So I was out of pocket like $40 or something like that after everything's said and done. But yeah, so what a hassle that was. But guitar turned out great.
All right.
So
Good.
And this is your new one.
this is the new one.
Oh, wow.
This is the new one. Yeah. So the rest of the guitar was
This is a
great.
harrowing tale.
It's amazing how many things I buy. I would say half the stuff I buy, something's not disclosed. And I don't think this guy was trying to get one over on me. I think he's just that clueless. I was like, I can't put acoustic strings back on it. Well, why not? Because you guys cut them and they're laying on the first fret. The nut's ruined. Oh, huh. And I sent him a picture of the fretboard. He's like, oh, I didn't even notice that when I packed it up. Like, okay. So, anyways. It's okay. That's enough about me.
Buyer beware.
Yeah. Well,
What about you, Todd?
I don't have new guitar day or anything like that, but I did get my new X album. That possibly their final one.
What color?
This, they did the whole "The End Is Near." They're on the "End Is Near" tour. We got the poster up right there.
What color vinyl?
It's yellow vinyl. So that was a limited run of 500. I got 131 out of 500, I think.
Wow.
And it's got a big X cut out in the cover, which shows through to a yellow sleeve with like all kinds of handwriting and stuff all over it.
That's cool.
And it's just great. It's called the album's called Smoke and Fiction, and it seems to be a bit of a retrospective on boy, look how far we've come and look at all the things we've done and everything. I am really digging it so far. It's bittersweet. When Billy and I were at the show up in Kent, it was done, and we both kind of looked at each other like, that's probably the last time we're going to see Billy Zoom. I mean, I would almost guarantee that. He did not look very comfortable. They got the thing is called "The End Is Near." They're doing all these, interesting things to kind of celebrate like this album. So this is probably their opus. Anyways, but it's really good so far. So I'm happy about that.
Was that your first time at Kent Stage?
Yes, first time at Kent Stage.
Interesting
all the seats,
little thing, isn't it?
Very little thing, and the seats were
Oh yeah,
weird to sit in at that kind of a show.
Oh, the whole thing is it's like a miniature theater. Like
it really
the
is.
Seats feel like little kiddie seats too.
But for for the right show, that's probably great. Maybe not that one.
I saw Colin Hay up there like 15 years ago, and I had no idea what to expect. And it was like, well, this is.
It really changes the energy of the show
I'm
for
sure.
sure. But anyway, so that came. Very excited about that. Now I've got a complete set of all the X albums, including some that they don't even do that I probably.
Oh, that's great.
That I probably shouldn't have.
That's great.
Tisk.
Yes. Anyways, so there we go. Onward and upward, because you know what we've got in front of us?
What do we have?
We've got a pedal board with 4 mini pedals.
Yes.
A tuner. And a drive pedal. Mm-hmm. And we'll explain those in a second. But you know what? Fortunately, I had plenty of Tour Gear Designs patch cables to stitch the official 4 on the floor board together.
That is a thing of beauty.
I feel like I should spray paint it orange or something like that, but that'll make it look dumb. So I'm not going to do that.
No,
not the pedals. The board.
I was going to say.
I was just going to spray paint the whole
Well,
thing.
to make it official, it's the 4 on the floor board. Well, see, and then we need an audio thing for it. And the whole nine
you
yards.
know what you need to do? You
What?
need to get Pedal Train on the show and have them make you on an orange.
Well, yeah, they'll jump right on that.
Sure, it'll be like the sponsor. So everything after here,
Oh yeah.
it'll be in the picture. The Pedal Train
I
in
could talk to
orange.
them about it. Anyways,
Absolutely.
So Tour Gear Designs patch cables. Fortunately,
think
we've
about
got a
this
box
stuff.
of that.
Yes.
And without that, this wouldn't have been able to happen so quickly.
Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 patch cables. So, anyways,
And they're all different stuff. There's a C one.
Yep.
There's an S
There's
one
an
over
S1
there.
Yeah.
That's really
There's
cool.
a 4-inch one. The rest are 3. So
Hey.
all the things. And if you go to if you load up your cart, you're going to get a coupon code, and you're going to put in the guitar knobs, and you're going to save how much, Tony?
You're going to save 15%.
Exactamo.
And that's already on top of a very reasonably priced product.
Extremely
So go
fortunate.
there, go to the website, load up your cart, get all the sizes, get all the shapes, because you're going to need them. At some point, you're going to need them. And put in the coupon code, save big money. It's the right thing to do.
It kind of is, yeah. All right. Thank you to Tour Gear Designs patch cables for sponsoring our 4 on the Floor Shootout. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's describe what we have on the board here. So we've got the Peterson Mini Tuner, which we talked about several weeks ago.
Best tuner in the world.
This one?
We've got, and now what's interesting about these 4
Yes.
is that we have a 4-knob
Yes.
Look
compressor.
at that.
We've got a 3-knob compressor.
Yes.
A 2-knob compressor.
Yes.
And a 1-knob compressor.
Is
How
that
about
on
that?
purpose or just happened to?
Kind of on purpose.
Nah.
Semi on purpose. I saw a trend and I was like, I'm going to keep this going. Okay. And then at the very end, we have the OCE wrench, which is, the pliers. Was it a wrench or pliers?
That looks like pliers to me.
Yeah, it's not a wrench.
But it says on the front. It says on the side, too.
No, it doesn't.
Sure. Right there.
It's called the lineman.
The lineman. By wrench or pliers, I mean lineman. There's a pair of pliers on there. Anyways, it's called the lineman.
Todd's who you want working on your car. I mean the pliers. No, I mean the thing that you turn the screw with.
And that's from OCE pedals, and it is basically like kind of a souped up version. It's like the Cadillac version of a rat based.
Yeah, it's rat based, but it's one better,
Yeah, it's got a presence knob on it, which is cool.
and it's got a pair of pliers on it.
It does. Okay, and just a quick reminder to everybody. These pedals are not sponsored by these companies. They didn't. They don't really have anything to do with us. I will say that Copperstone let us borrow the Iris, so thank you so much to Alex and the team at Copperstone for that. But yeah, this is just our selection of these, and that's the way that we're probably gonna try to keep doing this, just to stay non-biased and whatever. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're doing.
Wrench.
We're going to discuss each of these 4 compressors, the things that we liked about them, the things that we maybe didn't like about them, and share that with you so that you are more informed. And it was a great experience. We each have completely different views of what is on the board.
Yes.
So first, Rob, back to your question. What exactly is a compressor? Okay, you're going up to
squishes
for the
things.
5th floor, all right, just to verify.
okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so generally a compressor, what do I want to say? Not the idea behind it, but the initial purpose is to even out a sound, meaning that every instrument naturally will have certain notes that are louder, certain that are quieter. And in a recording, that can be kind of tough because you play certain notes on a guitar that are a little quieter, then somebody would have to physically turn up a knob during mixing, et cetera, et cetera. So what a compressor does in general is it squishes or pushes down the loudest signal, and then you can turn up an overall makeup volume that'll bring the lowest up. So it brings up the lowest, squishes down the highest into a more consistent level. What more do you want, Todd?
I think that's pretty good.
Okay.
And aside from squishing it, some of the side effects of that are that it can give you a little bit more sustain. Mm-hmm. It can help with, especially with like palm muting. I found that like I thought that was really helpful for country chicken picking.
Yeah, and that's where it gets in. If you want to get into that now,
We're talking about the dynamics of what you do that it might help out.
And that's what I was going to say. And there's if you go back to like a Dynacomp, which is, I don't know if it's the first pedal. That's the first pedal.
First one I ever used.
Okay, compressor.
It is the most copied.
Okay.
I mean,
circuit out there.
Ross had a compressor back in the day. It was like a brown box, I think, and it
Yeah.
had the plug in the back.
Yeah.
I mean, the actual cord
the-
came out
yeah,
of there.
okay.
But,
But so the Dynacomp, I think that's kind of the typical circuit or the most commonly used one as far as pedals go.
Right.
And it's a pretty dramatic compressor. It's not a subtle compressor at all. It's a pretty high ratio. And the point of all this is that it is definitely more an effect sound than what a studio compressor is typically set at. Mm-hmm. That a studio compressor is usually much more subtle. You don't hear it as much. You feel it a little bit and can hear, oh yeah, things are balanced a little bit, but it's not dramatic, where the Dynacomp is, as soon as you turn on, you can tell it has a pumping kind of reaction to it. And it's very, very noticeable and tone-wise.
What do you mean by pumping? Like Is pumping correct, or is like pushing?
Well, a lot of guys refer to it as pumping.
Pumping. Okay.
It's you hit a note and it jumps out a lot, and then it you can actually hear the note like burst and then and go right back down.
Yes.
So it's like I say, it's not a smooth. It's not a subtle
burp.
Yeah, I guess so.
A contained burp.
A contained burp. Okay. But yeah, it's not a smooth compression kind of thing where you don't really notice. It's like, whoa, okay, that's something right there.
Yeah.
And it became the sound, especially for chicken picking stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the guys want that kind of pumping thing.
Well, and then also within the chicken picking, it also helps the forgiveness of you might pull a string too hard, and instead of that one standing out, it kind of makes them all kind of even.
It definitely, you're absolutely right. It definitely helps with that. More the Dynacomp and that kind of stuff, though. That initial, I don't know exactly how quick or slow the attack is on it, but the initial pop of the note, a lot of that comes through in that, and that's what you hear with the pump is where the compressor comes in just a little bit afterwards.
Yep.
So you hear like the note, and then it pulls it down.
Right.
So
now, compressors. I think it's safe to say for most people, it is sort of like, like a black magic a little bit. We talked about that on at least 2 of the compressor shows that we've done, where it can be a little bit difficult to understand especially for a person who doesn't have a super big need for one, like a chicken picker or an other kind of thing.
And I think that probably comes too where it originally comes from a studio standpoint where you've got all these different aspects to it that you can adjust.
And they can be very complicated, like very complex as far as the form goes.
And then you go to the guitar side where Dynacomp's got 2 knobs on it, right?
Right.
So it's like they've distilled it down
so
to
does a Ross.
Simple,
Yeah.
So, but there's still all that history of what a comp does where it's got 10 knobs on or whatever is still in there. They're just not adjustable. And you're right. And even like we were talking earlier, we're like, what exactly does the ratio knob do on this? I had to look it up to make sure I had it right. Because it's kind of confusing mathematically.
Yeah. Well, let's actually talk about a couple of things. So what is contained in a compressor? First, you mentioned the ratio, which sets the amount by which you attenuate your signal. And that's when you start to get into the math: 2 to 1, 4 to 1, 8 to 1, et cetera.
Generally, the higher the ratio, so 1 to 1 is the lowest ratio, which means it's not going to compress at all. It's bypassed. As you turn it up, and it goes 2 to 1, 4 to 1, 8 to 1, et cetera, it compresses more and more. So once you hit the threshold level of whatever volume set that at, everything that above it will squish it down quicker and faster. It'll allow less signal to above that threshold to pass out.
Yes. See, and there you lost me already.
I know. So. It's kind of counterintuitive.
Don't worry, we're not
going
to talk like this the whole time, everybody.
That is the most confusing knob on the pedal, for sure.
You are the most confusing knob, let's be honest. Okay, the threshold. With threshold, you get to control the volume level that forms the threshold for the compressor.
Exactly. So basically, how much at what point will the compressor start to...
Above your set threshold, the compressor will operate.
There you go.
It won't operate below it. So it has to hit a level, and then it goes, okay, I'm turning on now.
Yep.
Okay, I'm ready when you are. Okay, here I go.
Whack it down.
Okay.
Was that a Davy and Goliath?
I don't know. Hey, Davy. Threshold's knocking at the door. Okay, then we have attack. The attack knob controls how quickly your compressor actually interacts with your signal.
Yep.
And then you've got level and volume, or level / volume.
Yeah, and that's your output volume. So basically, and this is where, so with the threshold and the ratio and the attack and everything, that squishes down the loudest notes that you play.
Right.
And let's say before you had it set so your guitar would break up just when you hit your loudest chord, right?
Yeah.
Well, now that you've squished it down, it's not going to break up the same. So then you use that level control, the makeup level, to bring it back up to that same point.
Right. Yes, you did. You said that all right. I'm just...
Yep.
I'm fact checking you.
Very
all right.
good.
Now, that is not to say that on every single pedal there's going to be those knobs. That's kind of the unique thing about what we're doing today is that, well, they're all different.
Yep.
So now what they're doing is a lot of this functionality. They're just making it way more user friendly, which is good for me.
And and I didn't think about this. I wish we had researched which one is what type of compressor, meaning like which one's optical, FET. You did do that?
I have some of that.
Oh, good. Because that affects how
degree,
they work.
To the degree that I got that from the manufacturers.
Right. So if they published it,
Right.
yeah.
So So there's
Okay.
a couple
So
different.
let's talk about that
We'll get
as we
into
get to
that.
each one. Yeah, that's great.
So we're going to go through these one by one, and we're going to talk about our experience with them. I think we want to know how it sounded. What was the form interaction? The user experience.
I know for me, for a compressor, sound is the probably the smallest thing. It's feel. It's how it responds.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, the actual sound of it. I mean, of course, they're all going to impart their own sound in some way, but it's the feel, it's the response of it more than anything.
Before anybody starts to reach for the old stop button here, if someone is like, let me tell you about a bunch of different compressors, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, punch me in the neck instead. However, because you think, well, it's a utility pedal. What's a compressor going to do? It's going to compress. These could not be more different.
Yep.
These 4 pedals reacted completely differently, and might I say, completely differently for the 4 of us.
Well,
there's no way we're agreeing on any of this.
And that's kind of interesting that cause a lot of times I've gone through a lot of compressors, like probably 30, 40, almost any compressor on the market.
Because you need them, because you do a lot of like jukebox gigging kind of thing.
I do, a lot of stuff. And now that you mention it, it's usually there's 2 or 3 different types of compressors. They start to overlap. You got pretty much 4 completely different ones here. I don't know how you did that, but kudos.
I don't think I put in time for this, man. I care about this stuff. I do.
You got lucky.
I told Tony I was so excited. I'm like, I got one with 4 knobs, 3 knobs, 2 knobs, and 1 knob.
But even not just the change of the knobs, you actually got them that they
are different.
Yeah, they are different.
They're 4 different pedals. They all do essentially the same thing. But they are definitely 4 different pedals.
But it's really hard. Like if I was to try to make one sound like the other, I don't think I can make any 2 of them sound exactly alike.
No.
Where I can do that with other compressor pedals I have.
Yeah.
So, anyways.
Tricky. So, anyways, and then we also provided, we played these clean. We played them dirty. And then let's talk about what kind of gear we were using these on. Tony?
So I was using, I tested all of these through my Vox AC15 hand-wired. The guitar I was using primarily was a D'Angelico, I forget the model that it is, but it's got a mini humbucker in the bridge and 2 noiseless Telecaster neck pickups, one in the middle, one in the neck. Because I wanted something that I could easily switch back and forth between single coil and humbucker. Not a true like a PAF style humbucker, but this is a mini. I mean, basically, I just ran this board right into the front end of the amp because it doesn't have an effects loop or anything. And I grew up, as we were talking earlier, on with using an MXR Dynacomp. And currently, what I use a lot, I brought it in today to the studio, is a Jangle Box, which is a compressor that I've used for many years. It's really designed to be used in conjunction with a Rickenbacker guitar. And it is the circuit, or a refined version of the circuit that was in Roger McGuinn's Rickenbacker 370 12-string. And because that guitar that he played in the Byrds actually had onboard electronics in the guitar. And what they did is they took essentially that circuitry, put it into a box. And, if you're doing those McGuinn kind of leads or even some Beatles things, having that compression makes a world of difference, especially if you're using, the earlier Toaster pickups, which are a little lower output than later pickups. So So I kind of knew what to expect from the jangle box into that amp, and then I use that as kind of my base for, trying out these 4 pedals. And it was, thank you, Todd, for putting this together as conveniently, because normally if I'm testing pedals, I'm unplugging things and plugging other things in and everything. This was really nice, quick, and easy to do. So
thank you. Well, that's why I did it, because I didn't want any complaints.
Yep. and God knows I would be complaining. How about Rob? What did you use on yours?
So my trusty Bogner Shiva was my amp, which is a 2-channel amp, pseudo 3-channel. It has a Fender clean channel, and not exaggerate. It is a Fender 2-knob EQ clean channel, and is a Marshall 800 dirty with an extra gain stage that's switchable by boost or not. So it really does go from Fender clean to vintage Marshall gain to modded 800, gain staging. So I used that, and then all my guitars, 4 different Andersons, my SG, my Les Paul, and my Tele. I went through all of them because they all have different pickups, and they all, so like P90s, modern humbuckers, stacked single coils, vintage singles, vintage Tele, humbucker and a Tele, just everything. So, because they all respond different. And I've already found that out, is that I'll have one compressor I really like for humbuckers, but it's terrible with singles and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, so that was my test setup. And then I also had a few of my compressor pedals and overdrive pedals I ran these into as well. So,
very nice. Todd?
Yes. Well, I was running mine through my Marshall Origin 50 combo, and I used the following guitars: my Gullet Vinny, which is a single pickup from Brandon Wound, top hat style, so it's a little bit hot. My Gibson Les Paul Special with Brandon Wound P90s. The Fender Squier Cabernita with TV Jones. And the Fender Classic Vibe with House of Tone pickups.
There you go.
So
the Classic Vibe's a T or
T?
Yeah, Telecaster. Yeah. So, anyways, we've covered just about any kind of combination we could possibly think of for this. I would imagine. And then this is also running through an isolated power source. So that's the True Tone 7. I can't remember the
7
name
or
of it.
5.
It's a 7. I think it's a 7. What's it called?
One Spot Pro.
One Spot Pro 7. There you go. So, there you go.
okay.
Yeah. Outstanding.
All right.
Now, let's get to it.
What is the structure? Are we going pedal by pedal?
We're going to go pedal by pedal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start with the easiest, seemingly, with the one knob, and that would be the Copper Sound Iris. So the Copper Sound Iris is a streamlined. I'm reading the manufacturer stuff because I want everybody to have a real good understanding of like what the idea of this pedal is. Copper Sound Iris is a streamlined, all original optical compressor. So there you go. This one's optical. The Iris is optical.
Cool. There we go.
Known for delivering smooth compression and sustain. The compression toggle gives the user access to 3 distinct compression amounts, from sweet and subtle to full-on squish. So we had a light compression, a medium compression, and a heavy compression. Along with the conjunction of the simple volume knob, it allows the user to smoothen out dynamics and thicken up their signal. No need to dive deep into overcomplicated control options.
No.
Whether you want to even out your picking or make your notes pop off the fretboard, the Iris is perfect for the player that wants to skip the frustration and get right to the sweetness and the benefits of dialed-in studio compressor. Okay.
There you have it.
Now, with that, let's talk about it.
All right.
All right, so one knob compression. Rob, you go. Tony's going first on
I'm
this
going
one.
first. Okay, things I mean, honestly, I didn't dislike anything about this pedal. I like the simplicity of it. What are you saying? Are you saying I'm simple? Is that what you're
What?
saying?
No.
This is a non-biased
no.
forum, everybody.
You're going to make me cry.
No, Jared. I mean, Tony, it's fine.
So I did like. To me, this was the quietest of the pedals that were out there. With by quiet, I mean very little background noise.
Yeah. So when you turn it on, is it going boom or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked, and this is whenever I test a pedal, this is where I usually start. I start at 12 o'clock on the
Right.
volume or whatever, because that's where I want unity gain.
I think
to be.
we all did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So I like the fact this one wasn't super loud. I don't think it colored the sound very much compared to some of the other ones that we tested. And having those three options of the three different styles of compression was, I think, a nice, for an easy to use pedal. Somebody that doesn't want to sit there and twiddle knobs for 5 hours before they get the sound they like. This was easy to plug in and go.
That's well said, Tony. Now, let's talk about the actual sound that came out. Did you find that it was especially bright or especially spanky or especially bottom endy or any?
Depending on where you put there's a 3-way switch on it.
Right.
You can go low, medium, and high on the
Compression.
On the compression. That determined the output as well. I mean, because sometimes when the high compression, it got very loud, which I had to turn the volume down a little bit.
Yep.
Or the main, whatever the main. Yeah, they do call it a volume.
volume.
And I found the sweet spot for me was usually in the middle, sometimes in the down position, which would be the medium. Again, I found that it didn't color my sound. It didn't add grit. It didn't boost anything more than it basically was the guitar signal coming out and
with just a little bit of
sauce on
it.
You definitely can hear, as all compressors do. I mean, they kind of just take the really, if you play very light, it's going to bring the volume up a little bit. If you play extremely loud, it's going to squish it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it basically, to me, just kind of evened everything out.
Okay. Good. And you were playing which guitar were you playing?
I was just, like I said, I used the D'Angelico. It's got a mini humbucker in the bridge and then a middle telly neck and a neck telly neck pickup.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay, Rob, I'm going to jump in ahead of you on this one.
Have at it.
This one was interesting because of the 4, I don't normally use a compressor. So this was like completely new experience for me. I've tested out compressors to try to use in the past when we were doing other shows, and I'm just like, I don't think I need this. I'm happy to say that I'm definitely going to be keeping one of these because I was like, oh, wow, I really did notice a difference. So that being said, the experience that I had with this one was very different than the others in that I definitely felt like a bottom end swell on this. I felt like like a bump on the bottom end for sure. And what was interesting is that it almost like for me, it kind of dirtied up a little bit. I was a little bit surprised by that because I thought it was going to be like clean as a whistle.
Yeah.
And it's just a little bit of hair especially on the bass notes.
Yeah.
That's where I heard it. And so if you're playing bone clean, at least through my rig, that would have probably been a bit of a problem. But I thought, well, wait a minute. So that's when I kicked on the lineman, and obviously I can't tell that. So for me, that I'm never playing clean. I'm just not doing it. And that kind of was like, oh, okay, this is lifting the bottom end on something and pushing it, and I kind of stuck with the low compression on that one, kind of on all of them. I played around with all the different kinds, but I found myself liking a lower amount of compression for the most part. So I love the simplicity. It's one knob, and you pick a setting, and you're like, I kind of like this sound best of all. For me, I'm not using it for chicken picking. I'm not using it for any kind of super duper soft stuff. That
is your Marshall like already broken up?
No.
Okay, so
no,
you
it's
had
pretty
it on
clean.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And that's where I was saying that the lineman came in. So that's how I noticed that just a touch of hair on the low end.
Is when you're using it clean.
Yeah. That's when I noticed it. And
That's the same thing I noticed.
I had to check and make sure my amp wasn't a little hairy,
Right.
and it wasn't.
See, now that's what I experienced because I was going through the Vox, which the Vox breaks up very early.
Right.
And so maybe I didn't even notice what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I noticed, like Todd was saying there, as soon as I turned
it's not
on,
like a full blown dirty boost.
No,
It's
no.
just, you could be like, what, did that just break up a little bit?
and I was having the same kind of thing where it for me reacted more, and I was starting clean, no nothing, pristine clean 80-watt amp. With single coil, so not even allowed signal running into it. And
I experienced that on all of the guitars, by the way.
And it was it hit me like it was like, wow, that's kind of a boost comp kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not just a comp.
I could see that.
And as you turn that comp switch up to the more compressed sounds, as Tony said, the volume went up. In my case, it broke up even more.
Yeah.
So it was like it was boosting it at the same time. It was a side effect of the comp.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why, I mean,
That's when
in
you
the
were
up
turning that
position, you have to turn it.
And I was doing the same thing, but when I was turning that down, it was still broken up more because it's like it was clipping inside the pedal itself.
Okay.
So even though I was turning down the output level, it's like, well, it's not that it's clipping the front end of my amp as much now.
Yeah.
It's just clipping internally.
So this is an interesting aspect of it because on one end you could say, well, I don't want something to break up. I want it pristine clean.
Or you might.
Or what I found in some of the other ones that the cleanliness of the note that I was hitting, especially on the lower end, would kind of stay that way. It pronounced that strike a little bit more, and I wasn't necessarily liking that on some of the others. So, I think personally, I would say if you are playing dirty, that's the only thing you're really doing. You don't need a compressor for ultra clean, then that's a pretty good option.
And let me put in there, I think for humbuckers, that one might be a tough one because
they're already low end. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. It's already going to be loud and everything.
Right.
And that's just going to make it like, whoa.
Yeah,
unless,
this one
unless
definitely
that's what
sounded.
you want to go after.
This
With
one
my
sounded better with single coil pickups.
Yeah, and P90 that sounded great with it.
Yeah.
It was a little maybe too much color on that low end for me for a humbucker.
Agreed. We're on the same page.
Yeah, but again, form factor, price, and ease of use, it's great.
And it's all preference. Somebody may go, I want my compressor to give it a big oomph. Well,
now, let's hear what John has to say. And I'm not going to read it in his normal grumpy voice because he's having a hard day today. The Iris. I thought the Iris was kind of... I think he might have...
Was he drinking at the same time?
He might have been.
Oh, Lord.
I thought the Iris was kind of did the thing that you want a compressor to do. It sounded pretty natural, but it had that spanky business, especially at the low and mid settings. It was natural. You could drive with the volume knob if you needed to add a little bit of extra gunk. Not gunk in a bad way. Just beef, I guess. Very quiet pedal.
So he was doing voice to text.
Yeah, he voiced because he couldn't be here.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Yeah. So he did say, I really did like this pedal.
Okay.
There you go. And that's coming from the guy who's running a recording studio. But also the type of music that John plays, I can see that. I can see him kind of liking that because he does really like low-end guitar. He actually detunes a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Next, we've got the 2-button Keeley.
Or 2-knob.
Yeah, that's right. The 2-knob.
1 button, 2 knobs.
Let's come out of the compressors. 1 knob and 2 buttons.
Right. So this is a 2-knob compressor. This is the Keeley Compressor Mini. Now, Keeley is maybe most well known.
Never heard of them.
For the compressor, which I think.
What have they sold, like 3 million by now?
No, I think it was like 70,000 or something.
No, it's way over that.
Well, the last time we talked to him, which was a couple years ago, so I hope to have him on and we'll ask that question after this. Anyways, they've sold a lot, and he's made a couple different variations of it. Probably
more than 100.
The most recognizable modern.
He passed that a few weeks ago.
So he says the Compressor Mini intuitively and automatically delivers the perfect blend of dynamic and compressed guitar signal. This is how the Compressor Mini retains all of the subtlety and dynamics in your playing. Now, as somebody who's looking for a compressor, okay, you got me on the hook. That's what I want. An all-new transient release time is set to make both single coils or humbuckers sound lively and expressive. The new automatic tone recovery circuit ensures crystal clear highs even with high compression settings. The Compressor Mini's preamp tone is legendary because this is a version of the original one that he created. It's legendary. Where does it say? It is legendary, pushing both pedals pushing both pedals and amplifiers to their greatest potential. This features an increased sustain range for even more subtle compression, auto blend to enhance clarity and note definition, a new transient release time that makes humbuckers sing and single coils pop, automatic tone recovery, a treble clarifier for high compression settings, and a built-in preamp for incredible guitar tone and true bypass. Okay.
That's a mouthful.
Rob, why don't you go first?
Yeah. So let me see.
So what are the two knobs on here?
So the knobs are level and comp, which let me point out that those are at least very accurate descriptions, because some of these compressors, as you get in more compressors, they'll start to label them other things that's like, well, what the is that?
Because they kind of have to, because we're combining a lot of things together.
Yeah. So level and comp. So it's your overall output, and then comp, how much compression you want as you turn the knob up. So very, very simple. I got some notes on this one here. I had to type this out because
I think it's worth mentioning, though, like as we've been talking about, these are minis. These are like combined elements that, in compression, it's not just the compression knob from a more complicated compression pedal. They're working in the knee. They're working in the attack. They're working in all that stuff into this.
Sort of, I think they're more at a fixed point.
Sure.
So the knee and all that. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Whatever. Yeah. So, and I'd be curious how much different that is than the full size one, because the full size one, they have a 2-knob and a 4-knob.
Right.
So I wonder if it's actually the same as I don't know.
It isn't.
It isn't.
Wait, just read all this stuff. Okay, go ahead.
Anyways, so my notes on this one was, number one, tone change. I noticed a very noticeable, on what I described as a metallic upper mid-range increase. So, I mean, if I had to pick a frequency, I guess maybe 2 to 4K, 2 to 6K kind of range. So not highs.
I'm thinking about 1800.
1800?
Yeah.
1800K.
1800K.
Okay. I was like, 18, you threw me. I'm like, 1800K.
1800, 1700, whatever.
Yeah, whatever
works.
1800K. Okay. So your dog was freaking out in the background.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, so I noticed the, like I said, upper mid-range forward in it. And metallic, like kind of like that metallic-y sound your pickups pick up was more forward. The pedal, notice something about this with both the Iris and the Keeley here, is that tone change can't be adjusted at all. It doesn't have a tone knob, doesn't have a blend knob or mix knob. So whatever the EQ changes, like, there it is.
Yeah.
That EQ changes there regardless of where the compressor is actually set.
So if you put it on your pedal board, you got to compensate for
you
that.
Engage,
if you want to.
And you got the comp all the way down, it changes the tone.
Yeah.
So, and if you want more of that mid-frequency, great. If you don't, well, then...
Yeah.
And every pedal's going to have that to some degree.
Now, for you, that you felt that was a lot?
Oh, it was noticeable. It wasn't like, oh my God, what is this? But it was like, oh yeah, there's a there's a noticeable. If I had to take a guess, I would say it's probably 6-8 dB boost in that upper mid range, or it's shaped. Everything else is pulled down, so that stands forward that much more.
Maybe that's it.
I don't know.
We don't know.
But
we didn't make it.
But yeah, so but important note for me is that the compression on this one, as with the Iris, the ratio was very drastic. It reminded me a lot of a Dynacomp, where it wasn't a subtle compressor at all. It doesn't have an option for subtle compression. It is a pumping kind of dynamic compressor, not a studio subtle, like, oh, it's just evening things out a little bit. Even when the comp is turned down, it's like it's still really squishing this thing, you know. So again, if they're going after, which I think Keeley, because didn't he sell a lot of his compressors like the country market and chicken pickers and all that kind of stuff? Wasn't that?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a guitar pedal. I mean,
well, and I think that's where. Well, I know. But
no, I'm just saying there are other compressors
The
that can be.
straightest thing you've ever said to not be funny was funny.
But I think, I mean, if memory serves right, when he became known for that 2-knob compressor, I think it was a lot of the country.
Oh yeah, that's
that market buying them up because they didn't want a subtle. Because at the same time, companies like Demeter were selling theirs, but country guys weren't buying them because they were subtle. And so my point is that this is very much to me like a Dynacomp, his take on a Dynacomp kind of thing, where it's very noticeable. And
I think that's a fair comparison.
They said it was Manhattan based.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either.
Well, it's a drink that's made from usually rye and sweet vermouth
So
and some bitters and some cherries.
Got it.
It's a rye-based compressor.
Yes.
Where the other one was optical. This is rye-based.
This is, yes.
Does it say anywhere if it's optical or fed or anything? Nope. Okay.
No.
All right. So anyway, so that was my take.
Okay.
All right.
And for me, humbuckers, using this one with humbuckers, no go.
Yeah,
Because it was so damn dramatic. I just couldn't do it. Single coils only.
Actually, on for all of these, I found that single coils sounded better than humbuckers. Well, but you have to twiddle there.
Well, yeah. It's Tony. Okay, Tony, your go now.
All right. So my go on this one is I found it to be the noisiest. I found it to be the loudest. Like I said,
It was really loud.
I start at 12 o'clock. This one I had to back off to 9 o'clock before I got what I would call unity gain. And I would agree with Rob that it colored the sound the most out of them. And I think that's upper mid boost that's in there. You know, whereas the Iris had, I think, more bottom end boost. Apparently, this one probably has more of that middle, you know, the prime guitar frequency range.
Right.
And I think that's what that pops out. And that might be why our ears are hearing it as the loudest too.
Possibly.
Because
And you mentioned something noise. You mean like just the background noise?
background noise, yeah.
Background noise.
I mean, when you back off the level, it goes down a little bit, but it's there. I mean,
Let me inject this too. Like you say you like to start these all with the level up halfway.
yeah.
I just turned it up until it was unity. So I was like paying no attention where the knob position was. I bet you if we could find specs on this one, it'll boast something like a 26 dB output. You know what I mean? So they're not so worried about where unity's at. They're just like more.
Yeah.
Because a lot of chicken picking guys, and how I often use a compressor, I also use it as a boost. But it's clean boost, meaning clean boost.
Yes.
Right.
So anyways. So just again, how two different people may use it. You know, you look at unity, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. If 0 should be unity.
Well, no, I'm just saying for testing purposes, that's where I start.
Right.
And then if you want to, you know, a little more, you know, beef in it, turn it up a little bit. If you want to use it as a boost, it does that too. Todd?
Okay. Well, I agree. It was a little on the it definitely just had more presence when you turned it on than the other ones, I think. I like noise, so like I don't need things bone quiet. It doesn't bother me. Like P90s, when people complain about noise, I'm like, whatever, it's guitar, it's plugged in on an amp. But I could definitely, like, if you went click, 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 that one had the most like white noise kind of to it.
Yeah.
It's not something that's prohibitive. At least for me, it wasn't. Could be for a super clean player,
Or
James
studio.
Taylor's not going to play this.
Or
Yeah.
studio use might be a little on the high side.
Yeah, I was gonna say when I used it, it didn't bother me, but I
That's
mean
fair.
it might be a little much for
But if you're playing with drive, you're not going to hear it at all,
It's-
which is
It's not,
where I'm
yeah.
sitting. I found that this one liked my humbuckers very well. As soon as I went into this, I was like, oh, wow, that's really fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm less trying to, get in there and like bringing the little ones up and knocking it. I'm looking for like when I'm attacking it, I want the strings that aren't the loudest to be heard. And when I'm doing like palm muting, I want it to have. I just want it a little bit more precision and a little less roundy.
And I bet you the EQ part of that because
it's
that'll
great.
bring out a crick,
Yeah, it was like-
as your pick
yeah.
hits it.
I didn't feel like it was big and warm and round and like thumpy, like dum dum
It
dum.
brought
dum,
it all
dum,
out,
dum.
tightened it up.
Yep.
Yep. I can hear that.
It was quite loud. And when I got yours with your settings, I saw your settings. I went to noon. I went back to your settings. I was like, wow, that was really loud. So I backed it off a little bit. I didn't play too much with the threshold because like actually where I had it set, I really liked. So I wasn't swinging wildly on those because I was like, okay, I get what it's doing. I did do that actually. Come to think of it, I did play around with the threshold quite a bit once I got to the tellies because that's where I was feeling a little bit more. And the clarity on that for all of these, I was like, whoa, it clarified the living heck out of the Telecasters, which are already pretty clear.
Yeah.
It really liked the P90 a lot as well. And I don't know. So I also started playing a lead from one of my new songs, which is kind of one of the reasons that I was like, I'm going to see if Compressor can actually enhance my leads because I'm not a great lead guy and I want it to like be good, and I'll take any help I can get. And it absolutely sweetened it and just it was like just let it sing.
Yeah.
So I was very, very happy with the response on that. It didn't seem I felt that color that you were talking about a little bit, but it wasn't anything that was analogous to what I'm playing. So
Yeah.
it
And
kind of fit right in.
and I know it was less noticeable to me the more gain followed it.
Right.
So
I will also say that with all of these, when you hit the foot switch on it, and you can hear it, and it's like,
Oh, yeah.
like so you're not going to get away with like let me just punch in because none of wait, which one is that's not soft? None of them are soft.
Nope.
Right. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Manufacturers, maybe that's something that isn't.
And a live, you're on stage, you're never going to notice it. If you're doing church worship stuff, then
Yeah, but
you're
also
not
just
gonna
when
be
the
happy.
signal kicks in, it's like, you could. I
Yeah.
heard it in there.
Yeah,
so-
but again, if you're in the middle of a song,
that's fair.
You never hear
That's
that
fair.
in front of house.
Cymbal crashes and all that business.
Again, if you're doing the church thing and everybody's in here, everybody looks at you and goes, "What the crap was that?" You
Yeah,
know?
that's not where I play. That doesn't.
Yeah, right. It's two different worlds.
Not
I
going to
get
happen.
it. Yeah.
Anyways, so John has to say about the Keeley.
This is my favorite part of the episode.
I can see if John wants to just do this from now on.
do this. This would be fantastic. This is great.
Can he just record these and send the files?
I've actually cleaned these up
No,
a little bit.
no. I think this is better because it's got all the
Keeley pedal I thought was incredibly natural to doesn't do that spanky thing if that's what you're going for, but it's a little bit smoother. The level and compression knob seem to be like the level is your dry signal. I think that was kind of I understand what he was saying there. I didn't feel like I felt like I was working with the amp and the guitar, not necessarily like a pedal. The compressor knob is your wet signal, so you just have to kind of blend those and do the dance where
Yes!
you want it. I did like that pedal. Very quiet.
What?
So
Everybody had different experiences.
So here's the thing. It's just amazing that one of us can have such a vast,
Yeah. Well, I think-
not experience of how the knobs work, but
there's
noise floor.
There's a couple other things where I think we've leaked out to each other a little bit, and I'm like, I didn't experience that at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But again, noise floor. That's like
Right, and John
I know.
pays great attention to that because he is a guitar guy, so he is a guitar recording engineer.
I know. That's
All right, onward to the JHS Tidy Whitey.
Why don't you go first this time, Todd?
Well, I'm going to read the thing. I'm going to let
Okay.
JHS going to.
You do that, then give us your opinion.
Josh is speaking, so let's go here.
Let's hear the copy.
Okay, the Tidy Whitey is a FET compressor.
Uh-huh.
You want to
There we go.
explain?
That's a FET. That's the type of transistor, field effect transistor.
Boom. It has. Is there any signature about the FET that you'd like us to know?
I am not that nerdy on that. I haven't dove down. I personally find that I like optical comps most of the time, but I'm not the guy to be like a FET
I
or
could
sound
be
more like
completely
this.
way off, but when I play FET pedals or FET based things, if there's a FET switch on something like you can switch transistors, to me it feels like it's going to be like sort of blocky rock. How do I explain this?
Well, I think FET would be closest to a tube.
Yeah,
right?
that's the way it's marketed.
Yeah.
And I think in general it sort of works similarly, but I can't tell you as far. I haven't compared this circuit as a FET design versus to
Yeah.
you know.
I'm just saying the noise experience when I hear that,
Right,
it just it feels a little clunky in a way that is you want it to sound. I mean,
Yeah.
not super smooth and not,
And Tony's definitely right though. Like as most people market things, it's generally thought of that a FET is the closest approximation to a tube circuit. So
Okay.
for whatever that's worth. So
All right.
maybe that equals up what you're hearing,
maybe. The volume control gives you the ability to set your volume at a unity gain or slightly boosted to make up for any perceived loss from the compression. Okay.
Perfect description.
The compression knob controls the amount of compression for every...
That's convenient.
From everything from a subtle smoothing of your tone to a pleasing squash that's perfect for country,
I love squash.
blues, pop, and rock.
Again, another perfect description.
Yeah.
Blend knob to dial in the right amount of clean tone along with your compressed signal. This allows you to retain some of the natural feeling of your clean tone while giving you the studio quality compression that brings your sound to the next level.
I'd like to interject something here. This is the first description so far that, in my opinion, has been void of a lot of the copy words where it's enhance this. This was very much like, this is what it does. Very clean cut. And if you like it, cool. If not, then,
I would
you
say
go.
this is more of a Cleveland-based compressor.
Definitely Cleveland. Maybe even Akron.
Okay. Anyways,
Okay.
so the Whitey Tidy
what were your
can be
thoughts?
identified with the underwear on the front.
Yep.
Let's say, what are the knobs again?
Volume,
Compression,
and blend.
Well, this one I struggled with a little bit because it felt like it was. I like attack, and I like things like if I hit it hard, I want to know it's hitting hard. If I am palm muting, I want it precise. If I want to like rake the strings and let them ring out, I want them to ring. And I felt like this just kind of with everything. It was like, you know what? It was almost like playing with like coated strings. I guess that's the best way that I could say it. Okay, that's not scientific. That's just that's I felt like I was playing a different kind of a guitar a little bit. Also, the bottom end on that one was a lot more pronounced, I thought. And then I started thinking about, like, well, what kind of stuff does Josh usually play on the show? He likes sort of the jangly alt stuff. And at least, from what I've picked up.
All those videos, yeah.
And he's usually playing single coils, and he's usually playing, So I was like, oh, well, that might make sense because I'm on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. I'm going through, humbuckers and a Marshall where I started with this. And I think the blend knob for me, I was hoping that the blend knob was going to like give me some of that I was looking for, but it almost felt like there was a whole other sound on top of the one that I was trying to play.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's like trying to describe food here.
Yeah, I know.
It is difficult.
Again, because a big part of this is feel. It's not just the tone.
It is
how it
very much
responds.
how it feels, and the response. That's that is feel, but more specifically the response.
Yeah, you hit a note, it comes back at you like this.
Right, and I was looking for that. Okay, I'm trying to make it sing. And I had a hard time getting that.
And the more you describe how you're playing these, it's underlining that you. It seems like you want
play
to
very different.
Yeah, but you're looking for that crang kind of sustained from it, and you like it when it tightens it up, not necessarily adds the low end to make it mushier. You want to be a little tighter, a little
right.
more.
If I had one word to describe that, it'd be round.
Yes, and I absolutely agree with that. By the way, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I think your descriptions.
Why don't you continue with where I'm?
I think your description's pretty much spot on. It definitely adds in a lot of.
I want that on the record, please.
It adds in a lot of low mids, and which when you have the blend all the way to the right, so it's 100% wet, it is a very round kind of mushy kind of response to it. And definitely, if you're playing in a mix, all of a sudden the guitar would be harder to hear.
Yeah.
It definitely it takes away the clarity on the upper end, the attack. You don't hear the pick attack anymore.
Yeah.
But that was a game changer on this one. In my opinion, is having the blend knob.
Yeah.
Because it has a lot of coloration, has a lot of response to it. Maybe that's the FET thing and tube response, but it's not as sterile in response as the first two were.
Right.
So I like that about it.
It's got a lot of character.
A lot of character.
Sure.
That's a good word. It's got a lot of character, and I like what it does.
Yeah.
If it didn't have the blend knob and it was on all the way, for me it would be unusable. But once I got the compression, I'm like, okay, I like the way it's responding. I was able to pull that blend knob, and I had it maybe, I don't know, at like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, so it was mostly direct.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at that point, I was getting enough of the original signal in that it was still adding some girth in the low end,
Yeah.
but I didn't lose all the attack and everything.
Yeah.
Without
That's
the
fair.
blend knob, no go for me. With the
Yeah.
blend knob, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I could really dig it.
To me, the player that I think would respond to this most would be like a rhythm guitar in a sort of lo-fi alt band.
Yeah, agreed. And to your point with single coils.
Yeah.
Because, again,
Yeah.
humbuckers in that, it would...
Yeah, they didn't get along very well.
I couldn't agree more. Like
Yeah.
I played like some Death Cab licks with this
Yeah.
through a single coil, either Telly or Strat.
Yeah.
Really liked it.
Yeah.
Even a P90 was like, it was, I don't
Yeah.
know, just too much or something.
Yeah. I felt like there was like a string separation on this one, maybe more than the other ones.
Interesting.
Where the Keeley one, I felt like they were more together. They were working together a little bit more, and this kind of like attacked the strings differently.
Oh, okay. You mean like the response and the overall?
Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Yeah. This thing, if you hit certain notes, it would be, I think because of the EQ maybe, that it would, certain notes, it wasn't as balanced. It wasn't
Yeah.
as balanced, wasn't
Yeah.
as uniform.
Yeah. Tony.
Well, so both of the pedals that had blend knobs, I tested them first with blend all the way up because I just wanted to hear what the compression,
Right.
the effect signal was.
Right.
And everything you said, yes, both of you guys. I found that I could put this one at about 10 o'clock and get unity gain out of it. The blend knob on this one is absolutely necessary, and I think mine was I think I stuck with kind of a 50, so 12 o'clock 50-50 mix, and that to me sounded about the best. Now, I will say the JHS owes Wooly from
the tiny
Champion
nose.
Lecky
From the
$100
underpants.
for the underpants.
At least. I'd say 101.
Okay, $101.
Yeah.
if it
We're going to
actually-
send our goons over there to
I was
get
gonna
it
say,
for
if
you.
it actually came
You're-
from
you're
that,
welcome,
Josh
Wooly.
would give a shout out because he's not ashamed about sharing that
No,
stuff.
no.
Yeah.
No, but because Wooly.
He's had Champion-Lucky stuff on there, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
he
There
has.
you go.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Wooly, as most people know,
Yeah.
has all kinds of crazy things painted on the outside of his enclosures, one of which is underpants. So, but this being called the Whitey Tighty.
Tighty whitey,
No, it's Whitey Tighty.
whitey tighty. Interesting.
Okay.
That's all I got to say about that.
Well, okay. Let's
Thanks, Forrest.
let's check in and see what John has to
Oh
say.
yeah, my favorite part. My favorite part.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
JHS. I
Yes.
I liked this one too, but it didn't do. I guess it added a little bit of a high mid thing that I liked in some cases and not in other cases. It sounded decent going into this distortion dirt pedal, the lineman. And using it clean sounded fine. It's a very utilitarian pedal that doesn't do anything crazy, but it also seems like you'd have to do some nutty stuff to make it sound like, and then that's it. So thanks, John.
Oh, these are the best things. Let me clarify
I'm not
this.
sure that's.
I don't know if that was English. I'm not really sure.
I don't know what to take from that. I think he liked it.
Yeah. I'd like to clarify too that John does not stutter. So
John doesn't. No, John's a very competent man.
But apparently
He
his
definitely-
phone does.
He knows what he's talking about. He was probably driving at the time or something. I don't know.
oh, I'm sure he was. Yeah.
Okay, so that leaves us
great.
with the last one, which is the EHX Pico series platform compressor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what EHX has to say about their pedal.
It's a lot of words.
Borrowing from the original, the Pico platform condenses the comp section of the full-size stereo platform, which is their bigger pedal. That's a big pedal. That's got a lot of knobs on it. Mm-hmm. For those looking to fit smooth studio compression into any pedal board, packed with 2 modes, hard and soft knee compression options, it's a perfect fit for sculpting your dynamics with professional precision. All right. I want that. That makes me, I want that.
I want professional precision.
Use the Pico platform compressor limiter on any instrument for precise and powerful control of your signal's volume, and of course, extend sustain on leads. The Pico platform is extremely transparent with no tonal coloring, making it extremely versatile and easy to work with into your existing setup. Use the sustain control to adjust the compressor ratio or limiter threshold for a subtle or extreme effect. The addition of a blend knob allows for adding seamless sustain while preserving attack and tone. Almost got lost there. Adjust the attack control to set when the compressor activates after a transient. Use the mode button to choose between compressor and limiter modes and soft knee or hard knee compression curves for smoother or more dramatic compression styles. Featuring compressor and limited modes for wide range or compression styles. Selectable hard knee, soft knee compression curves. Sustain adjusts compressor ratio or limited threshold. Attack adjusts attack time. Blend adjusts the dry-wet ratio. Volume control overall output level. Okay, 2 questions.
Yes.
Transients.
Well, okay, hold on. First, I'd like to interrupt because I find this very interesting after you reading those 4 blurbs provided by the manufacturers, right?
Yes.
You can tell who has the deepest pockets because that is definitely like the most professional copy written. Wouldn't you agree?
I mean, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just, everybody's
sound-
writing for their brand. That's the thing.
Well, right, but it sounded like this was Coca-Cola, not Kroger knockoff brand. Who wrote it?
Yeah.
You know?
Hey.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah. So, anyways,
I like Kroger.
So I think.
so what you ask? Okay.
Well, we talked about this a little bit because there is a switch on this that if you hold it down, it lets you switch between a soft knee and a hard. So explain the soft knee, hard knee.
Well, let's talk about all the controls. Let's start with the knobs.
All right.
Here. So this one's got the 4 knobs on it. Plus, like you said, it's also got a little push button switch. So it's got, I can't even see it from here. You have
volume.
Is that no? I think it's called level on this. Oh no, it's volume. It's just not full volume. It's VOL.
Volume,
yeah,
blend,
volume,
attack, and sustain.
Yeah. So volume we've had on all these. Blend we've had on the last 2, which blends mixed, or dry to wet. Attack. What was their description of attack?
Attack.
Adjust the ratio.
The attack time.
Okay. Attack is how quickly it compresses the signal, right?
Right.
And then they put on here is a sustain knob's what they called it. Yeah, it says adjust compression ratio.
Oh, that's the ratio. Okay.
Or limiter threshold.
Now, the reason they say that is because that push button allows you to be in compression mode or limiter mode.
Okay, now let's talk about that. So the difference between compression and limiter is simply, well, not simply, majority of that difference is the ratio. Meaning if you take a compressor and crank it all the way up, so anything above your threshold point will be squashed immediately. There'll be no gain above that.
That, in effect, is
That's
limiter.
a limiter.
Right.
Okay. So basically that is your limiter threshold or your threshold knob in limiter mode. And it says adjust the compression ratio in compressor mode. I wonder if it actually adjusts the ratio or if it's similar, because it will, by adjusting the ratio or the threshold, it'll adjust the other. They kind of go hand in hand.
Right.
So I'm betting it's just when you're in the limiter mode, it is set to a higher degree of ratio as a starting point.
Yeah.
And that's the way it felt to me. It felt like if you were in the compressor mode, the sustain control went from, let's say, 1-to-1 ratio to, I'm just going to throw out a number, like to an 8-to-1. Where when you clicked in limiter mode, it started at 8-to-1 and went to infinity from there.
I feel like if we were the House TV show, you would be House. You would be Dr. House, because you're essentially saying, no. He's not tired because he's overworked and was bitten by a spider. He's tired because he's got an alcohol problem,
Well, yeah.
Well, there you go. There it is.
Don't you, Tommy? What? I never drank.
Yeah.
Oh, Tommy, yes, you did.
House is a pretty smart guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so to your point with the compression limiter thing, I think that's more, I think it's adjusting the sweep range of that sustain.
Right.
Which
I
makes
think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, the feature that we didn't know about until we showed up here today.
Yes.
Oops. Nobody read not one of us read the manual.
Well, but that's kind of, we
We're
did
guitar
that
players.
purposely. We're like, hey, we should let's approach this with our sensibilities. And
I listened to it
sounds
on
and plays
books on
right.
tape.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow.
They read it to me.
Huh? How about that?
Yeah. Mike read it.
Okay, so let's talk about that button.
Yeah.
If you hold it down,
Yep.
it switches between hard knee and soft knee.
Yeah.
Right? Now, the difference, so let's talk about the hard knee and soft knee.
Soft knee. Okay, so the knee is
And
the
it's
point.
soft knee, just so we know. And hard knee.
Like knee, like
Yes,
your knee.
where it bends, where your
Right.
knee bends.
And that's right at the point where it bends, where it hits your threshold level, so it begins compressing.
Right.
Hard knee is a very sharp on.
Right.
Where soft knee is softer. And it's meant to be, a soft knee is supposed to be less audible of a change.
Hard knee is a dragster. Soft knee is Fred Flintstone feet.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, no, you're spot on. So that's the soft hard knee. And honestly, usually in studio things, it's not, it's noticeable, but it's not a, oh my, gosh kind of thing. It's like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're missing that much, but you should try it out. Tell us if it is a big difference.
Yes. Okay. Why don't we'll end with John's. Tony, why don't you
we
go?
gotta end with John's.
Right. So, I thought this one, they packed a lot, and I do mean a lot, into a very teeny package. The Unity on it was, Unity gain was about similar to the Iris. I had it at 12 o'clock most of the time. The thing that was really nice was that selectable compressor and limiter. And if, maybe a limiter, not so much for a guitar player, but for a bass player, if you want to preserve your clean sound without clipping as a bass player, that's when a limiter would come into play. I mean, I thought this one didn't have much sound coloring at all.
I'm not saying anything.
Okay, you're not. Thank you for your confirmation. The blend knob, again, extremely useful on this one. It was a little on the noisy side, though. I think I think I termed this the second noisiest out of the four. And I think that it's possible it's just the nature of the beast. But again, nothing that would be that objectionable, especially in a live setting. I think you can do a lot with a pedal like this. And, it has a lot of options.
For what it's worth, I just want to interject this really quick. We just talked about transparency in not having any kind of tone color. The JHS Whitey Tidy, immediately I was like, this sounds dark.
Agreed. And I think that goes back to your not liking it. Yeah.
Well, regardless if I liked it or not, it was just like, oh, this has like, I feel like I'm coming out of a Fender or something like that.
It's a low mid.
Yeah. Okay, Go ahead, Tony. Sorry.
That's all I got. What do you got, Rob?
Very similar. I've had a note on here. The tone is definitely the most neutral of the four. A slight low end roll off and slight upper mid range bump, but like very slight, very, very slight. And that's with the blend, of course, 100% wet. So I was just listening to the compressor. So it's definitely the most bad word transparent. Noise. I actually had a weird noise problem with this one. With high gain settings, I was getting a weird crackle. Don't know why. So I don't know if it was just my setup, because everybody else said they didn't experience that. So it might have been my setup in my room with, whatever. So who knows what that was about. The white noise, though, didn't bother me.
You must be using cheap cables.
Well, there you go. You know me and my cheap stuff. It was definitely by far the most versatile of all of them. In the fact that that's really the only one that I could get a subtle, in parentheses, studio compression out of for my humbuckers, where it just squish things just enough to bounce it out without really changing it. That's the only one I could get that out of. And talking about the limiter setting and everything, I really liked how versatile it was. Is that if I had it in the compression setting and I had the sustain knob turned up quite a bit, I could start to get not quite like a Dynacomp kind of pump, but close to it. And then if I wanted more, turn on the limiter, turn the sustain down, and then it's like, oh, now it sounds like a Dynacomp. All the way to, if you put it all the way wet and have the limiter cranked, or the sustain cranked, it is a straight limiter, great for whatever, where you just want to chop it off. So, yeah, it was a very, very versatile pedal. And again, having the blend control on it is necessary, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, for me, I would agree. Very, very versatile. It has to, it better be. It's got 4 knobs and a button. So,
dual purpose button, too.
Yeah, dual purpose. Triple.
Quad purpose.
Yeah.
Well,
because
limiter compression or soft.
And
Oh, I guess that is.
So that's
triple.
only.
Well,
that's a dual.
But
purpose.
there's degrees of the dual in there.
You're going 2x2, so it's 4. Yeah, I see.
Anyways, very versatile. It was. It didn't have any color at all. It was like just not affected at all. I did like it quite a bit. I found that it didn't sing as much as the Keeley.
You like those upper mid range forward?
Well, I'm not looking for it to. I'm looking for it to let the other strings do their thing rather than squash stuff.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm coming to the screwdriver fight with a hammer. So,
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Just personal preference. Yeah.
I thought that. This is a weird thing that I experienced, and I don't know if you guys did, but as I was fiddling around with the knobs there, when I would do like a big, just a full 6-string like chord rake, just nice and easy, not like super heavy. I was like, I feel like I'm hearing like almost like just a kiss of like a chorus. I was getting a secondary tonal ring through what I was playing. And I was like, am I hearing this correct? And I mean, I must have tried to unhear it for a while. I was like, this is interesting. Maybe the singing part of this is like just somehow I don't know how to explain it, but it felt like I was getting like a doubler effect.
Where was
there.
the blend knob when you were?
I haven't touched it since.
Okay, so it was about 50%.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a slight delay in the.
Maybe.
It's
weird that neither of us would hear it.
It was barely noticeable, but I heard it. I was like, what is that? It feels full, but almost like if you just barely had a chorus on, just like a kiss.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was doing more single note stuff generally, so I
Yeah.
didn't just let something ring. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, Tony's right. It might be processing delay. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was an interesting aspect of that, which I didn't hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's something. So I was curious to know if you guys actually experienced that.
That I did not hear, but what did Papa John have to say?
Oh, let's see. John said
My favorite part. Oh, it's a big one too.
it's a big one. Okay. This was actually, even though it had the most control and variables that you could change, like the attack and the sustain, I guess the other ones had sustained. I don't know what that means. There's a limiter or compressor switch, so you can have both of those. I thought it added a darkness to it. It kind of pulled away some of the treble tone that doesn't need to be pulled away, and it made it like not lo-fi really, but just kind of it did gunk it up. I changed the tone too much compared to the other compressor pedals, so that was a thing. The fact that it has variable attack, I think, is fantastic. It did not do the spanky thing that the Iris can do, though, when I turned all the way up. So I don't know if it was fast enough to grab transients or not. It was okay. All right. So there we have his assessment of it.
I go back. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
He's got such a drastic, because we all came in with notes and we're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're similar. We're in the same ballpark in general.
Yeah.
All right.
And John's out there, so.
All right, now let's get to what I'm sure everybody's wanting to know, at least from us. Maybe they don't. I don't know. John said, my favorite of the bunch. I'm surprised about it, but I think Iris was my favorite. The Keeley was probably my second favorite. The JHS was my third, and that's mostly because it can do a lot of things. And the EHX was last. So there's that. Okay. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Really wish he was here because
Yeah.
it would have been just so much.
It would have been great.
It would have been great. But we'll get him on one of the next ones. He was very excited about this new episode format. All right. So from us, guys, are you ready to say which one is your favorite?
Let's do this.
Iris.
Compressor.
Okay, I heard Iris. I didn't hear yours. What was yours? Todd.
Ready?
No, because I still won't be able to hear it because we're all three at the
But
same
that's
time. again.
that's the fun of it.
And we got to clarify because the
Okay.
listeners are like, what the crap was that?
That's the idea.
That's
that
the
way,
idea.
That's not cool.
Okay, you really so
Yeah.
Tony, what did you
I'm with John. I like the Iris. I like the simplicity, and to me, it had, a good sound quality.
There you go. Okay.
EHX.
Okay. And I chose the Keeley.
There we
Huh.
go. Nobody chose the JHS. And it's funny because that would have been my second go-to is the JHS.
Okay, let's go. What was your second? JHS. What,
EHX.
Mine was EHX for second. But that's because of playing style and all the things that we described. So
yeah. It's
based
funny-
on what we said, I mean, The great thing is there's a mini compressor for quite literally everybody out there. I mean,
And for not a lot of money.
it was so surprising how radically different these were.
What are the price points,
These all fall at about $120.
including the EHX?
Yep.
That's a lot of pedal for.
Let me
that
just
money.
verify that. Beep, beep.
Google.
Okay, price point. Here we go. Coming in at $115. Now these are all variable market prices.
Right,
Okay.
right.
But basically, this is what their retailer price at.
Street price.
Street price. $115 for the EHX Pico platform, which is we all said that's the most pedal out of the bunch.
Out of the bunch?
Yeah, versatility, definitely.
Coming in up next, it's a tie with the Keeley Compressor Mini at $129, and the Copper Sound Iris also at $129. Again, minus $1 or $2 here and there.
Yeah.
The JHS coming in at $135.
Wow.
So there you have it, everybody.
Yep.
Our first official 4 on the Floor Shootout mini compressors. This was super fun, super informative. I had an absolute blast doing it, and we learned a lot, I think, together, which was really cool. And hopefully you listening out there feel like you guys learned something as well and are better informed to go find a thing that you like.
Well, we learned how wrong John can be.
Yeah, it's a little disheartening. I gotta be honest.
But it makes sense for the kind of guitar he plays.
Well, that's true.
He wasn't looking at it as a studio engineer. He was looking at it as a guitar player.
Yeah.
And he plays
So he was
goofy
So he
tuning
was high at the time. That's
Telecaster
what you're
stuff.
saying.
I cannot confirm nor deny any of that. Anyways, so super duper fun. Tony,
Yes?
how do we get out of this?
We're going to go on down the road in our Subaru Brat. We got it back from the shop.
Perfect.
It's back, baby. And we're going to drive and drive and drive till we hit a spot called Would You Rather?
All right.
This week's Would You Rather is brought to you by me.
Okay.
Me. So, you're sitting around the house, you're getting ready to head out on tour.
Yeah.
You get a call from Taylor Swift's people. And Taylor's longtime guitar player, Paul Sedati, needs to take a little break because he and his wife just had a beautiful baby back in March.
Okay.
They need you to come in and fill in for some of the acoustic guitar stuff. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
I get you.
You got to do it. The problem is all your gear's on a truck heading to Albuquerque,
Okay.
where you take wrong turns and such. Mm-hmm. But the manager says, no worries. Paul left a couple of guitars behind. You should be just fine.
Okay. Somehow I feel like this is coming back to what Rob was doing today. With
Well, not really.
Yeah.
No, this is
Okay.
this is a little different.
All right.
So you get there, stretched out, long flight. They show you the two guitars that you can choose from. One is a Guild Crossroads / double neck guitar. Mm-hmm. Now, double neck, it's the thin line body one /
Yes.
bladed. The other is a Taylor Baritone 8-string, which is B to B, and it's got an octave 3rd and 4th string, which is an interesting thing. So it's kind of a blend between a baritone and a 12-string.
What the
What's
crap?
this thing called?
Yeah,
It's called
search
a
this up.
Taylor Baritone 8.
As in
Baritone
Taylor
8.
guitars?
Yes.
Why did Bob want to make one of this?
I think it's a cool
Bob.
idea.
That's Bob.
Yeah, me and Bob and me.
Why did Bobby do that?
Yes.
Damn it, Bobby.
That was pretty good.
Oh, that's great.
So let me see a picture of this, Todd.
I'm trying to
It
find
looks like an acoustic guitar, except it's a baritone.
B8
It's-
special.
and it's-
But it's an 8-string.
The two middle strings have an octave pair.
right here. We're
See?
looking at it up close, everybody.
Man, that's weird.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that weirdness.
So your
So your
C and
choices
G are doubled.
If it's
octave.
B to
With an
B, what is it? I don't even know what those strings are anymore.
Anyways,
It'd be
that's
an
kind
A
of that
and
probably makes a really cool
something
sound.
else.
I would say it does.
I like this.
But you have to remember that this is B to B, and all of the songs are written in standard tuning. So you got to, in your mind, play different chords.
With
what?
2 extra strings.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's a baritone.
Yeah, no, I don't like that.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
So those are your choices. The Guild double neck.
Show me the Guild double neck.
I'm
thing.
working on it.
Guild slash.
Let me tell you, Taylor has sold dozens of those. Maybe.
I might buy one.
The
Yeah, sure
crossroads.
you will. You buy the Alibaba version.
Okay. Well, I think we know what we're doing. So it's basically a thin line
Okay.
acoustic
with
on
an
top
electric.
with
Acoustic
an
on top and
the
electric
bottom.
on the
At least
bottom.
it's acoustic on top.
Yeah.
So you don't have to reach around.
So you can play November Rain
Rain.
all night
Yeah.
long.
There you go. So which is it going to be? What's your choice? The Guild or the Taylor baritone?
We know which one you're going to choose. Go ahead, say it.
Go ahead, Tony.
I'm going to choose the Guild because
Oh.
it's in standard tuning.
Yeah.
I thought the way he was like, that baritone's so cool
I'm gonna.
with the extra
I
strings.
think it's a great idea.
If
I
they
thought
just
I-
did it on a regular guitar instead of a half baritone thing.
Well, but that's
You
the
can always
beauty
tune
of
it
it.
up.
It's got
No.
you got the low rumble of the baritone, and then the
Yeah, I
12
get it.
You know, it's almost
I
like
get
a
it.
12-string in disguise.
I get it. Okay.
weird.
Go ahead, Rob.
The Guild as well, because I don't want any part of that double strings. The first thing I would do would be to chop off the extra octave strings.
Oh.
And then I might choose that. If I could chop
But
off
you
the,
still have to play it
I can deal with
differently.
it. I can deal with that.
You can. Well, I
Yeah.
know you can.
Yeah, chord
I can't.
changes and yeah.
I cannot. I can't transcribe that
Yeah.
sort of stuff.
That'd be fine for
I
me.
think
but-
3 of us are gonna, stand in the middle of the desert and play this guitar, the Guild Crossroads double neck slash.
What does John think?
Oh, John's definitely going with the Taylor
Okay.
Yeah.
because he likes weird tunings
Right.
and baritones.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Well, that was a interesting setup. Yeah, and those are 2 very I don't think those we would have ever chosen.
No.
Talked about those guitars for any
Definitely
reason on
not.
here.
Well, that's why I'm here, Todd.
I know.
Good job,
All right,
Tony.
we need to thank a few people.
Oh, yes, Todd, because at this point of the show, there's a special group of people we love to thank. These are our executive producers. Now, an executive producer makes this show possible. How do you become one? Head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs. Check out a couple different levels in which you can participate, become a friend, a sponsor, a hero of the podcast. Each level comes with some very nice thank you gifts, and I do mean very nice, and opportunities to win great stuff.
Indeed.
We love giving stuff away. But in addition to all that great stuff, there's one thing
You get
more.
to have your name read on a thing.
I'm going to read those names right now. So special thanks to these executive producers: John Sebastian, Trevor Ellenberg, Cameron Pampas, James Bell, Eric Hemmer, Brett Hogarth, Gregory Randall, Don Kloss, Ralph Gottschalk from Wonderful Audio Technology. What? Rusty Sneeden, Vader and Pedals, John Alverson, Rick Calhoun, Trevor Gunberg, Elad Mizrahi, Richard Kendall, James Pennington, James White, Justin Jones, John Esterly from Rare Effects, Anthony Lathrop, Stefan Lamb, Michael Senchuk, Ken Sayers, Darren Gregory, Tom Brazen, Michael Davenport, Eric Marrow, and Plutone. Plutone, I say. But wait, Todd, there's more, because we have a special group of executive producers. These are our grand poobahs. These fine folks are the top of the heap, the A number ones, the greatest of all times.
Indeed.
And they wear a fez on their head whilst listening to the podcast. So special thanks to these grand poobahs: Anthony Gemalero, Billy Spitfire Unlimited, Bob Crouch, Brian Robison, Cody Foster, David Kaminga, David Tyndall, Enrico Fernando, Fox Hill Studio, Hex Matos, Jack Cadian, James Pennington, John Williams, Jonathan Jerusik from 12th Hour Devices, LSJ Music Company, Matt Hart, Michael Van Zant, Michio Murakishi, Moon Guitars, Paul Von Eppinger, Sam Jett, Steve Keys, Tyler Casey Rhines, Zach Oswald from Brandon Wound Pickups, and Pedro Vasquez. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All righty. And that's it.
Oh, okay.
Fort Pitt.
Yep. All right. Thank you all so very much. And I tell you what, if you're not ready to, join the Patreon group and support us with, through Patreon, I know that you're, just supporting us through your, good vibes and everything. But do me a favor. Tell somebody else about our show.
Yeah.
I'd really appreciate that. Tony would really appreciate that. Rob,
Yeah.
but I for sure would. Anything that we can do to help grow our community at large. It isn't just about numbers. It is about more people and more connection. So we would appreciate that.
Oh, and don't forget to come up with your favorite Hello Sailor pedal that you want to have made.
Oh my gosh, we almost forgot that.
Can't forget that.
Yes. So we once you hear that, send us an email or DM and tell us what pedal you want and what you want it to look like.
Yes.
And Hello Sailor's gonna pick one person and make that for them.
Beautiful.
Love it.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yes. All right. So that's it. Tony?
Yes.
Where can people find you?
Head over to pickguardian.com. Check out the things that I do, which is mostly custom pick guards. Let me know what you need, what you're trying to do. I might have some good ideas as well. It's your opportunity to make your guitar even more yours.
Yeah. Okay. Rob?
Mad Cow Amplification, Facebook, Instagram. Although I haven't posted anything forever because I usually post stuff.
You're pretty busy to post stuff.
Well, no, it actually that too, but I usually post through Instagram and automatically populates on the Facebook thing. I got locked out of Instagram weeks ago, and they say I have to reset because somebody was trying to hack into it or something. So I have
that's
to.
messed up.
And it's like, I'll deal with it tomorrow, and it's been like a month.
Yeah.
So I
But they let you
that.
post all those dirty pics on there.
I know they don't mind that, but like when I went to post gear, they locked me out. So
Yeah. Strange.
But eventually I'm going to reclaim that. But
Indeed. All right. You can shoot me a DM on Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Love to hear from you. And please tell us what kind of Hello Sailor pedal you want and what do you look like, what it looks like, what you want it to look like. That's
or
what I
what
mean.
you look like too. Put that
Anyway,
into.
yeah. And also make sure that you give the Valentinos a listen next time you're driving home to work, not driving home from work. It might set you off too hard to go into work. You want to be like white knuckling. Yeah. All right, everybody. I hope you like this new episode format. I think we love it, and you're going to hear a whole lot more of these. Have a fantastic guitar week. Subscribe. How about that?
I don't really care about ratio.
Well, ratio's the
Mimic.
ratio.
Name it.
Shut up.
Trumpet
All right.
solo.
Go ahead.
My settings.
Yeah, but so diplomatic. Oh my gosh, that's too much.
Well,
I
I spent.
We're already going. So.
All right, I got one. Can you grab me another soda? That took so long. I actually went through a whole can of soda. Now I'm.
Have a mic on that thing?
Yeah, we do mic.
So I'll go. Bang.
Okay.
So it's on three.
On three.
One,
Three.
two.
Okay. Got it.
Bang.
On three. Just like we
One,
did.
two. Chicken wings.
Okay.
Okay.
Not on four.
On three.
No, on three. You hear that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, I've got like bat ears.
Yeah, I figured you'd be freaking out about this. You seem very comfortable with it. And what are you calling this?
4 on the floor.
And that's it.
All right.
Can you turn down my headphones?
Seriously, I can turn down his microphone. Will that be easier?
No,
do
my
that.
headphones. Everything's real
Okay.
loud in my ears.
that door?
No.
Okay.
Check one. Oh, now I'm off. Check.
What?
Can you
That
put it
was
somewhere
one
between?
tick.
Really? It
Yeah.
went from being.
All right.
All right, let's go.
Let's go.
Yep. Here we go.
Come on.
Oh, that was
That was amazing.
yeah.
Okay, so what was John's?
A 1 Iana, 2 Iana. All right.
Well, he's not. Is he actually commentating, or is he's
No,
hanging
but
out
they
with
cut to him all the time. He's hanging out.
He's hanging
man.
out with whoever the family is. and-
Moonbile's dancing with him.
yeah.
What's up, fam?
So on three or three and then.
I'll just go like this.
What movie is that from? Lethal Weapon? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
on
we
three.
go on three or three and then
Just jump. Yeah.
he jumps on like two or
yeah.
something.
Nah, do that again. Hang on. Okay,
Wait a minute,
start
do
it
what
over.
again?
Start the whole thing over.
That was perfect.
It wasn't. I had to. It's a big fat edit. And away we go.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.